Other working in this video. So this is a crossbody bag that I recently made. These are becoming more and more popular, and I frankly think they're really convenient. I've been making a couple of these and kind of refining my technique, and I really like this one, though. Sits nice. But what we're going to do in this live is I'm going to start the process of making another one of these. Now, this is a pretty time-consuming build, as I'm sure you guys can see. This is all hand sewn and so forth. So this might encompass, maybe 2 total lives. But hang with me, and we'll start right from the beginning. I am now just cutting out some of the leather. So let me go ahead and set it up here, and we will go from there. So get this in my little tripod here. All right. And from what I could tell, that seems to be a pretty good position here. Let's just move this on up. All right, guys. All right, so it looks like we are live. Let's do it. All right, I just want to check one thing real quick here. Sorry, guys, I'm gonna get right to it here. Just want to make sure. Yep, okay. All right, let's get to it. So, this bag is kind of made up of just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of leather, and the front and the back here. That's what we're cutting right here. So this particular bag right here, believe it or not, was made out of this same exact leather right here. This is called veg tan leather. Now I dyed this, of course, and I'll do the same thing with this one. But it's kind of interesting. I'm sure probably a lot of people don't know that this is at least veg tan leather. This is what it looks like. It looks kind of like the color of human skin. This is what that leather looks like before we apply dyes and stuff like that to it. So one modification I'm going to make on this one is I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger and go from there. So I'm going to turn on my fan, so you might hear a little bit of wind noise here, but we'll just get to work here. Actually, see if I can get this down just a little bit closer to the work itself here, so you guys can get a little bit of a closer view. Let's see how that goes. How many people we got watching? We got 2. All right. All right. Let's see if that's a little bit better of a view for you there. So what we're doing is we're just using a. They just call this an edger, and we're just going to cut down the edge of this. Believe it or not, as you guys saw in there, veg tan leather, you can actually sand it lightly. So this piece will function as probably the back, but it will also function as a template for the rear or the front piece. So I want to get this shape just perfect. pretty good. All right, so we want to find a nice spot on the leather. This will be the back. This side has, I'm not sure what that is, but it's possible that might cause a little issue with the dye. So we'll put it in a non-cos or a less cosmetic area. But we'll cut this front piece here. So this looks like a nice clean space. So we're going to use the edge. All right, we'll use a awl, which is kind of just got a sharp point on it. We're going to trace this out. Let me move this here. There it is. All right, so we're going to cut the leather. Now this stuff is pretty hard to cut, but I found that this is a higher quality, kind of like a box cutter. I don't know I don't even know what the brand is, but it's made in Japan. I don't even remember. I bought this a long time ago, but this is one of my more enjoyable, or one of an implement that I enjoy using the most with some of this cutting. All right, let's see what we got going on. Let's see. Can you guys see? That's not too bad, I suppose. Alrighty, let's get a drink. How's everybody's Labor Day out there going, or at least if you're in the U.S.? Yeah, it's still hot, but I can see the temperature starting to get a little cooler here, so that's nice. Alright, let's get back to it. There is our cut piece. I'm gonna go around with a little sandpaper, give her a little trim up, or give it a little smooth out here. Trying to think, let me see, I'm gonna try to move this camera around here and there and just see if we can get a better view. No. We're gonna try this one here. Let's see. I think that's better. All right, so that is pretty good. That is pretty good. All right. Now, what we want to do now is we want to cut the gusset. Okay, so this is the gusset right here. It's the thing that goes in the middle that gives it width. Okay, and these are sewed together right here. Now this gusset I made the same width of this of the strap here, which what was this? Let me remind myself here. It was 1.5 inches. So this gusset was 1.5 inches, and the strap was 1.5 inches. I love this design. This worked out well, but I'm just tuning some stuff up and just refining it and see if I like it a little bit more. So what I'm going to actually do is I will cut this strap itself actually a little bit narrower for the new one, but I'm going to make the gusset a little bit bigger. So I'm going to go 2 inches on the gusset. And that will make for a bigger bag. The bag will be wider. All right. I'll make the straps later. And maybe I should do a little bit. So we need to find the approximate length here. I cut this piece of string when I made the first one, so I had it handy. Now, this doesn't have to be perfect length right now, because what you guys will find is, you guys see where it's sewed there. As you sew this thing together, you will trim up this gusset. So what you don't want to do is make it too short. So that's the biggest thing. So it's better to make it a little bit longer. So I'm going to make this one, the new one, a little bit bigger in dimensions. So I'm going to cut a section of this that's a little bit longer than the string, and we should be pretty good. All right. All right. All right, so this right here will serve as the gusset, which is essentially this centerpiece here on the finished one. But I made this one just a little bit bigger, just for fun, just see how it turns out. These ends don't have to be perfect, because these will, or at least one side will be trimmed off. We'll make this one the nice side. All right. So this little device is pretty handy for cutting those. Once you get it started, which can be a little tricky sometimes, it slices right through there like butter usually. It does a pretty good job. One thing about leather work is it always is best to keep your stuff sharp. So I don't know, there might be a better way to hone these little edgers here, but I've been doing this on this one. It's been actually doing really well, so I think I'm gonna stick with it there. A little groove in it. Satisfying one long piece of stringy leather there. Just touch up this edge. All right, that actually turned out pretty good. Pretty nice on that one. All right, so in terms of cutting leather, excluding the straps, of course, these three pieces that we have here, the front, back, and the gusset, that makes up this main body. So the next stage is I got them all trimmed up. I got everything cut exactly like I want. The next stage is I'm gonna start punching holes. So if you guys aren't familiar, so you guys can see all the stitching. This is all hand stitched with the needle and thread, and this is some pretty thick leather, as you guys could see. So you couldn't just push the needle through through the leather. So what you do is you actually have to take, I use this device right here. It's like a little hole puncher, and I will actually go around the perimeter, which you guys will see here in a minute, and I am just going to punch out all of these holes. So you guys can see that's a lot, and that's when you need to do, of course, because later when you sew it. So we will start that. Now, I really like how this bag turned out, and I think it's fine, but if I'm entirely honest, there's a mild, I don't even know if it shows up here, but this front part there's a slight misalignment between this front and this back within the gusset. And I can't tell if that is just with how the leather, because you can spray water and actually kind of manipulate the leather a little bit. I've been kind of trying that, and that might be it. It might be some of the holes were misaligned. I'm not really sure. Like I said, it's very minor. It gives it character, and I'm not worried about it in this particular one. But of course, if we're going to make a subsequent one, we want to learn from the mistakes and try to, hone our craft a little bit more, I guess you could say. So, my long-winded point to all of that is what I did when I made this one is I just kind of poked the holes around and didn't give it a lot of thought to where I poked the holes in the other one. Now they were close. There was not anything that was dramatically out. But this time what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to line these up and make some sort of point and start poking the holes around there and try to get him a little bit more together. I don't know, but I think that could be one of the reasons why this was a little off on there. So my point being, I'm just going to be a little bit more careful on that. And then we also have to poke some holes in the gusset. We're not going to try to line it up because when we go to sew this gusset in, we can kind of manipulate it in that way. But we'll use the same spacer tool, so we'll know that the spacing between the holes are what they should be. All right, give me a moment here. All right. I'm always playing musical chairs with my workspace here. All right. All right. So we'll use this, and I will actually probably use. I'm going to play it by ear. Sometimes I like using my maul, and sometimes I like just using my little smaller finish hammer, I guess you'd call that, when I hit this in there. But it just kind of depends on the material and how I'm feeling on any given day. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take. Let me get these lined up. And let's see here. So I put 2 little marks on there. They're kind of hard to see, but what that will allow us to do is start poking the holes around the edges. I'll just pull off those lines. That way I know. And when I start hitting my first rounds here, I'll be a little mindful to check it a little bit more often. Damn, those lines are hard to see. Okay, there it is. So I'm just going to mark just a little bit on the face of this. Okay, I can see for sure what I am doing. Okay, those line up. So this is some thick leather. Now, even though the spacing side to side between the individual holes is going to be set by the tool, the spacing from the edge to where the holes start, that's an eyeball thing. That's just kind of one of those things you got to do with experience. There is a tool, and the name of it's escaped me, that you can actually run around the edge and create like a mark in there. Some people use it for cosmetic purposes, but other people use it to help them line up the holes, and that would be an option too. I've been pretty good just eyeballing it though, rolling around. All right, yeah, the maul is working today. The maul is working better today. See if we can get a little closer to this exciting action here, guys. Let's see if this is any better here. Is that a little better? Maybe. Sometimes if you get off just a little bit and you recognize it, no big deal. Just readjust on your next one. And I'll tell you, 9 times out of 10, you don't even notice it. Now this seems like this would be an enormous amount of work, and I'm not going to lie, I mean it is a certain amount. But once you get in a rhythm, it's not that bad, and it's kind of mindless work to an extent. So, you know, I always enjoy doing this. Sometimes you just kind of, you know, whether you're listening to something or just, you know, letting your mind wander. It's almost kind of meditative in some strange sense. Whew. Sometimes my hands gets a little crampy on there. But we're making some progress. Look at that, we're almost done. Done with this one at least. All right, let's get to it. Oh, look at that. Okay, all right. So this is a real fortunate, so a good thing. Okay, so you see right here, where, because I started on one side and looped around where they're going to meet, right? Now, sometimes just the way it works out is it's not a perfect spacing, so you have to make a little workaround. But look at that. That just happened to be a perfect spacing. Look at that. All right. So not too bad. If this is, you're not familiar with leatherworking, you know, not as bad as you might have thought it would have been. So, and like I said, you kind of get in a little flow state, a little roll with it. You could see, you know, the spacing to the edge. That's pretty darn good. That's not bad at all. You know, there's a few little spots, but nothing. This will be fine. All right. So now we're gonna cut. We're gonna start doing the next one. Now, two things to consider here. One is, and this was done on purpose, the orientation of this is slightly different. So this shape is not perfectly symmetrical, and that was done on purpose. So that first means that you want to make sure that you have it lined up where you're going to start. And we made our little marks earlier. I've got to make this one a little bit, just a little bit better here. Okay. All right. And then, so we want to look at the one we've already done, where that little mark is at, which must have been, right there. So I went right on the line there. The point of this is you want to make sure that the row of holes on this next sheet is as identical as you can get. Or we could do this. This might actually be faster. Let's just do this. Okay, so we get them on top of each other. Everything's lined up. Now, the one downside of this is, you know what I do have though? I have a them all up. Okay, sit tight. Hold on. Or, you know what? Let's just do this. Sorry, I'm making this very complicated, guys. We're going to take our awl, this tool I use all the time, and we're just going to poke a hole through one of these holes here into there. I'm actually going to poke 2. Let's do 3. Okay, so we know they're lined up, and then I will overlap this with those holes that I poked. Drive that home. So now we put this over top, and perfect alignment. Okay, so we modified our technique there as we went. Okay, let's do this. So I'm just curious how much somebody will actually watch this later. So I changed up even my hand technique between this repetitive behavior between this piece and the last piece. I'm just curious if anybody had picked up on the differences, and if so, just throw it down in the comments. No judgment if you didn't. I thought it was just an interesting thing. I just noticed myself here. Okay, we're coming up to the moment of truth. We're not there yet, but we're going to be linking these two up. Can we get as lucky as we did on the other one and have it line up just perfect? In theory, it should, because we had a very specific start point, but there can be a lot of little individual variations and so forth as you hammer this around that might make a difference. So I don't know the answer. This is live, so let's see how this turns out. Okay, the moment of truth. The moment of truth. Perfect. Look at that, guys. It's meant to be. Meant to be. Meant to be. All right. So this will be the back. This will be the front, because this one's a little bit lower quality. Now, just because it looks this big does not mean it will be this big when it's finished, because you got to remember that when we sew together this gusset with this one, we're kind of bending it in, if you see what I'm talking about there. So there will be a little bit of shrinkage, but it will still be notably larger than the example that we're working from here. All right, guys. So for this live, I'm going to call it now, but I will, because this is a project that's, probably 8-10 hours of straight work. So, but what I'm going to do is, my goal is to come back tonight at by 8 p.m. and we will continue to do some work on it. So thanks, guys, for tuning in, and talk to you guys later.